What's up, and welcome back to Kind of Funny's Pixar in Review. I know it's been a while, a whole month since we were here talking about Luca, but now we are back and we're going to be doing 3 Pixar movies in a row to make up for lost time. I'm very excited about that because, of course, this is Pixar in Review. Each and every week, Kind of Funny likes to rank and review different movie franchises with yours truly, Tim Geddes, alongside Andy Cortez,
Hello, everyone.
Kevin Coelho.
Yo, my audio coming in all right?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Mhm.
All right. Oh, little guy keeps slipping around.
And
There he goes.
Nick Scarpino.
Before, as you were introing, Kevin adjusted one of his lights, but for some reason it was stuck, and he looked like he was about to snap that thing off. Like that light was either going to bend to his will or die, and I respect that for a Pixar in review. That's the kind of energy we're bringing today.
Exactly. Maybe Kev's feeling a little angry today. Maybe we're all feeling a little something. You know what I mean? We'll have to wait and find out. I'm not sure. Joey's working on some other stuff, so she's missing out on this week, but she will return next week, and she has sent me her thoughts and her rankings for this to work off of. But like I was saying, this is Kind of Funny's in review, where we rank and review and recap different movie franchises twice a week here on youtube.com/kindoffunny or roosterteeth.com. If you want to get the show as a podcast, just search your favorite podcast service for Kind of Funny in Review, and we'll be right there for you. If you want to get the show ad-free, and if you want to write in your reviews in haiku form, you can go to patreon.com/kindoffunny, just like Molecule has done. Thank you so much. Because you've done that, Molecule, you won't have to hear the ads from MeUndies, Canva, and Upstart that everyone else will later in this show. But for now, let's talk about Inside Out. With a runtime of 1 hour and 35 minutes, it was released on June 19th, 2015. Either way. Directed by Pete Docter, an American animator, film director, screenwriter, producer, voice actor, and chief creative officer of Pixar. He's best known for directing the Pixar movies Monsters, Inc., Up, Inside Out, and Soul. So he kind of has a banger portfolio, and as a key figure and collaborator at Pixar. Some fun facts about him: he provided the voice of Riley's dad's Anger. So that's a cool little thing. And according to him, each emotion's based on a shape. Joy is based on a star. Sadness, a teardrop. Anger is like a fire brick. Fear is a raw nerve. And disgust is broccoli, which is really funny when you think about it. He noted that he likes broccoli very much. However, unlike the other characters, Joy doesn't have a shadow due to her bright personality. You gotta love Pixar. They're always thinking.
Well,
I respect how
glowing.
much
That makes
shade
total
they
sense.
throw at broccoli in this, and I, for one, I think it's time. I think it's time we took broccoli down. Big
Rise up.
broccoli has been in
Tim,
our lives.
or
Broccoli
Nick-
fans, rise up.
Nick, the other day I went to Outback with one Tim Geddes and Cool Greg Geddes. And let me tell you,
I'm looking through my text messages,
These-
Kevin. I must have missed that.
Yeah.
Me and Andy must have missed that.
Nick, did you?
well,
I didn't get Andy. Did you get an invite to the
Weird.
Outback?
No, I'm not seeing it.
Andy, you've asked me to stop inviting you to things, so I don't even know what you're calling me out on. And Nick, I definitely texted you. Did you not get that?
I mean, I see a text message of a cat and just another cat gif.
Yeah, that sounds
And
right.
a
And there
third
should be
cat
the
gift.
text.
Those are the
invite to
messages.
Outback.
Yeah,
It's the
maybe
secret.
it's the cryptid secret.
It says
Okay,
Joe
so-
Outback tonight. Let me
Okay,
see.
from now on, I understand that a cat message on Reddit means that I have to go to Outback at 7:30. Understood?
Yep. We'll meet you there, and you can have as much
But
broccoli
these
as you want.
Monsters got like steamed vegetables, and then they were like, "Hey, just so you know, it's just broccoli." And Tim went, "That's fine with me." And then ate all. He ate all of it. Ugh.
I love
You,
it.
Tim. That's good.
It's
for
so
you.
good.
Great. Broccoli's great.
A
And
good
yo,
steamed
y'all
broccoli
want to
with a
know
little
the
bit of
best
salt and
time?
pepper.
Kev, what's the pro tip? What's the pro tip I gave Cool Greg?
Jeez.
He put A1 steak sauce on top. He's like,
Oh,
"All
yeah.
right,
That's the broccoli, dude. Let's go.
That's it right
Dude,
there.
Dip that shit. Woo.
There is no better form of broccoli. I'm saying it right here, right now, than when you happen to be maybe visiting a different town and you're looking to get the finest dining and be inside of one of the best establishments ever, Benihana. Okay, and you get hibachi steak and shrimp, and with all the veggies as well, and everything is just kind of whatever juices everything has, right? Everything like the steak and the shrimp are covered in a bunch of like really
Juice.
nice tasting juices.
Tasty juice.
And when you get those juices on steamed rice and as well on broccoli, and you just kind of start melding it together, holy cow, my mouth is watering thinking about it right now. Ugh.
Andy, would you believe that I've never been to a Benihana's?
Oh,
Always wanted to go. Tim won't take me.
let's go back to Toronto. That's where we went last time.
I mean, they have them here.
Oh,
Like it's not even far away.
yeah. I've actually Ubered Benihana one time because I was like, you know what? Time to splurge, Andy. Be a
Seems
big
like a different
spender.
experience.
I Uber eated Benihana, and I think it was like $70 something.
Did they when they came? Did
How
they
did that
flick
work?
it into
Did
your
they come
pocket?
out of the car? Did they like pop out of the car and like do tricks for you?
Yeah, he threw a shrimp at me.
Anyways, music was done by Andy. You want to take a guess?
Michael Giacchino.
There you fucking go. Of course. The director took a 4-year discussion where his piano sessions might fade from memory and a chewing gum advertising jingle that he was annoyed and lingered in his head, and had a conversation with Michael and was just like, so here's kind of where we're starting this. And Michael's like, okay, cool. He heard the plot of the movie, heard the pitch, and he's just like, I got this. And so he made the entire score and showed them an 8-minute suite. And they're like, this is it. You totally nailed it, which is that recurring bit that keeps coming back. And it was totally inspired by being a little kid learning about music for the first time and the way that adults kind of look back on all that and having the different emotions feed into it. And I think that they really knocked the score out of the park in this. And I think that it really enhances this movie. So shout out to them for that.
Michael Giacchino, Tim, just understands the assignment. Like that's all you could say about the dude. He just shows up and goes, "Yeah, I'm gonna kill this shit." And a lot of y'all may not talk about me as much, like the Hans Zimmers of the world, or who's the Star Wars guy?
John Williams.
I was gonna say Gary Johnson.
Gary Johnson, John Williams, his friend fixes his car.
Okay, got it. But yeah, but Michael Giacchino just like he just knows, man, and he's like, look, I'll stay under the radar, and I'm gonna keep killing shit and making a lot of money and living off this Pixar dollar. So good for Michael Giacchino.
Yes. It had a budget of 175 million, a box office of 859 million. This movie was a hit. Awards, it won a lot. Inside Out received 15 Best Picture, 21 Best Original Screenplay, and 40 Best Animated Feature nominations from over 50 different organizations and associations. It won Academy Award for Best Animated Feature and was nominated for Best Original Screenplay at the 88th Academy Awards. Some fun stats for you, Andy, because I know you personally love them. This film featured about 45 animators, which is about half as many as previous Pixar movies, just because of the style choices that they made.
Interesting.
Yeah. And this movie
really
easily
lame, man.
passes the Bechdel test, which is a measure of the representation of women in fiction, asking whether a work features at least two women who speak to each other about something other than a man. So good job, Inside Out. Now we're just going to talk about what we think about it. Kevin, you want to start? You want to start, Kevin?
Yeah, I'm not super hot in this movie. I don't know. It doesn't do it for me. A lot of it is I'm not super interested. I hate sadness. I mean, like I know we're supposed to, but like, God, I hate her so much. When we see her walking down the hallway and just touching all the balls, and it's like, why do you have to be this way? You know?
What's your face from The Office?
Yeah, and that makes it worse. I've never liked Phyllis in The Office either.
Oh, she's great.
No, she
Sacrilege.
pisses me off.
Even I
She
like
pisses
Phyllis.
me
I
off.
don't even like The Office.
But yeah, I don't know. I guess I don't really have much to say. I like literally don't super enjoy this movie. When it got really big, I was very much confused. I don't like who plays Anger?
Lewis Black.
Lewis Black. Like he's always too much for me. And like I understand that's the role, but I don't know. I feel like this movie didn't have as much nuance.
Andy
That's pretty
Cortez?
much where I'm at.
I surprisingly was kind of feeling like Kevin, but in the way that for the first 3/4 of the movie, I felt just kind of what's that joke where you're like, I'm not underwhelmed or overwhelmed, I'm just kind of whelmed. I just felt like it was a fine movie throughout. I enjoyed the characters, and there were some good goofs here and there, but I wasn't super interested. It wasn't very engaging, and it didn't really pull me in until we get the fucking bing bong moment near the end.
Yeah.
And holy shit, the movie just turns, and I go, God damn it, they got me. They brought me back. And then it hits again, and then it kind of just kept on hitting. And then it felt like the proper Pixar that you should expect by now, because we've seen 16, 15 movies now, and they always sort of hit and find some sort of emotional resonance, usually about 75% of the time, I'd say. And I I'm really glad those moments are there, and I'm glad it picked up towards the end because for the rest of it, I don't even want to say it's a bad movie. I just wasn't. I think it's insanely imaginative and very creative, and I love all the concepts of the emotions and the islands of whatever their sort of interests are. Like all that stuff is so damn cool, and seeing it visualized is even cooler for me, especially somebody who grew up watching, all the how did Pixar make these movies, all those documentaries. So huge amount of respect to them for just sort of like the concept of it all. But it wasn't super engaging to me until those moments hit. And also, I'm super shocked that Bing Bong was not a bad guy.
You thought Bing
No
Bong was gonna be a
twist,
bad guy?
no
Bing Bong's not a
reveals.
bad guy.
When Bing Bong is introduced as, the imaginary friend from back in her youth, immediately I go, when is this going to turn? When is he going to fuck them over because he's selfish and he's like a Toy Story villain that like Lotsa
Feels
or
wrong.
whatever.
Yeah, lots of yeah. For
Yeah,
sure.
and that's what I really thought was going to happen. And once we kind of figured out that I was like, whoa, wow, that's kind of the twist that I expected that actually never happened. And the movie's better for it because that emotional moment hit really hard for me.
I do just want to say very briefly, like I really want to talk about Bing Bong once we're all done, like giving our thoughts,
Bing Bong.
because I have some opinions on him.
Damn.
Nick?
Damn.
Sounds like Bing Bong's getting
Shit.
called to the principal right now. About to get sent home, bro. I like this movie a lot. I saw it when it came out in theaters, and this is my second time watching it. And I think it's just I appreciate this movie. I think very much. It's not a movie that I think it has a tremendous amount of rewatchability, like something like The Incredibles or some of the more fun action-oriented Pixar movies. But I really appreciate what they did here, and I appreciate how they sort of were able to get across the idea of how someone who's growing up deals with complex emotions and things like has to deal with this big life change and how it can be really sad. And by the end of it, it's kind of cool that you kind of get taught that like happiness and sadness and all these emotions are intrinsically intertwined and you have to deal with all of them, and process them sometimes can take time and be difficult to understand. And I think that's super important that I think it's cool they made that story interesting to me. I think it's really like I watched it with a theater full of children ranging from ages of, I have to imagine, like 5 to like 41 or 40 at the time. And I think everyone sort of got something out of it, which is cool. Maybe the kids didn't understand the nuance of it, but I did, and I watched it and I was like, this is kind of a special film to me. I think on the second viewing I actually got more out of it because I didn't notice until watching it some of the more subtle things like happiness, like joy and sadness have different like opposite takes on everything. So there's a moment where they walk into the big production studio. She's like, "Oh my god, it's bigger than I thought." And sadness goes, "Yeah, it's really small." And you're like, "Oh, she sees this from a totally different perspective." They both are seeing this whole thing from a different perspective. And then at the end, of course, I think it all builds nicely to that point where she grabs her hand and pulls her over and says, "We have to do this together." And then the idea comes out both happy and sad, which is, a complex emotion that we all have.
Taking all those memories and turning them blue was like, God damn, this isn't genius work or whatever, but it's still really cool. And I'm really glad the movie sort of sealed it up in a nice way.
Yeah. It's a nice
To
way of
jump in-
visualizing those emotions.
Jumping off what Andy just said, I do think it's genius work. I see this as a masterpiece and one of Pixar's greatest works and most modern works. I love that it is very untraditional in kind of its Pixarness and in the way that it kind of tells its story, and it doesn't fall back on the tropes that we've seen so many times, with things kind of adding back from the beginning to end. All things that I have talked about on the show of always looking for the bad guy reveals and all that stuff. I love that this movie doesn't have an antagonist straight up. Period. There's like not even an argument to be made that there is one. And I think that it's rare that a movie can do that. It's even more rare that a movie can pull it off. And I think that they did a good job of making us hate and be so frustrated with this sadness character throughout the entire thing, making your emotions part of the experience and part of the climax of this entire movie. I feel like if an antagonist were to be named, it would be the way we feel about sadness. And I love that the way that they wrap it up, and there is that moment of this girl growing up, and you see the contrast between the way that her parents' emotions are dealing with them versus the way that she is. I always say, whether it's a Nolan movie or a Pixar movie, I love movies that have rules that they set up and that they use and play with in fun and interesting ways. And I think this movie does all of that in spades, especially with what I was just talking about like the comedic beats of jumping into the parents and getting their points of views, where it's like, it's not just a comedic thing. It's like it is really adding to the layers of what this movie's doing. I love that it's not afraid to go deep, like the Inception style thing of it's a dream within a dream type stuff. But it's like it always pops back to what you're kind of getting at, Andy, where it's just like it is a simple story, but it's like a simple story that's dealing with stuff that everyone can relate to because we all have emotions. And I love that they handle the visuals of Riley living her life and what's going on in her head. And it's never played up where like anger is making her act irrationally angry and she's going to like some level of he's pushing buttons and she's acting insane. It's more like, no, she's acting like a child that is angry would act, or when she's sad or when she's whatever.
Not capable of dealing with those emotions, and anger is the first thing that pops up. And I love the part in the film when joy and sadness are gone. All that's left is anger, fear, and disgust. And they're like, okay, we got to figure out something. How would you react to this? And they hit the wrong button. Of course, it just comes out wrong. And we've all had those moments, even as adults, but especially as kids, when we're trying to process all of our emotions and feelings. We don't have the tools necessary to do it. Sometimes you don't know that you're tired, or you don't know that you're scared, and so anger comes out instead, right? That's what's so cool about this. And like I think that this should be like required viewing for children to grow up,
for everybody,
because I think it really gets out across in a very positive light. But I would argue, one could argue, I wouldn't argue, because I think you're spot on when it comes to this movie not having an antagonist, but you could argue that Joy actually is the antagonist in this,
and I love that. And
she is the one.
Totally. And that's what I think is so powerful about this. It's that what I love about it is using the word antagonist even there, I feel is wrong, because it comes down to this like understanding that it's a balance necessary and that like sadness isn't a bad thing. And like when you start the movie, we all know that going in, and we're just kind of like, okay, cool. How like, I hate you. I'm like, why would I ever support you? But then by the end of it, it's like, I love the way that they showed how sadness is intrinsically tied to joy, and like the memories they chose and the way they chose to show those specific memories, I thought was so powerful. And my favorite thing about this movie, emotionally, of course, two things: the Bing Bong stuff, which like I absolutely love how they have this character that, like Andy was saying, doesn't turn despite like hints and just visual things where like this could end poorly. Like the fact that it doesn't and it happens the way it does is so gut wrenching, and it like I tried so hard to not cry. And I fucking cried. I could not stop myself from it. And so there's that moment, obviously, but I just really love their use of the world that is inside the Riley, of like setting up the different islands, and when the islands fall and like all the memories and the use of color, like they just created so many great rules that when things change in different ways, like seeing the core memories start to turn blue, you feel it and you're just like, no, I don't want this to happen. I don't want this to happen. And it's like, when you're that involved in a movie, it's like they won me over. Like they got me by the balls.
I do want to interject and say that when I said that the concept is ingenious, what I was meaning was I think the idea of it is insanely smart. But we knew what was going to happen. We knew already that they had found out, and that Joy and Sadness had found out. Oh, we need each other for this, right? Mm-hmm. So you as the audience are already you're taught that and you understand that. But it was what I was saying isn't the most genius thing. It was like turning the yellow balls into blue balls, which sounds like disgusting to say. Like that is just like a visual thing. It's such an easy win for the makers to like visualize and say, hey, here's what's happening. And that's what I meant by like that's not like the most genius concept ever, but it still works, and it's smart as hell. And I lost my train of thought, and the train of thought had crashed down on the ground. It
Yeah.
Right now, I'm inside Andy's head, and right now his emotion hunger is like, I need to give me a little kind bar, a little something to stoke it up.
A little something. I also wanted to point out when they are in those. When they are exploring and they're gone from the command center, or what's it called, central command or
headquarters,
yeah. When they are sort of out there venturing, I just really, again, respect the hell out of the imagination and creativity of this is the dream area. this is the subconscious.
The abstract area is my favorite.
All of that stuff visually is
That's
just so
amazing.
cool and creative.
I like that we see the star there, right? Where Joy turns into a star.
Yeah,
That's
she
her
sure
shape.
does.
Yeah.
And by the way,
Well, it's
First
saying the emotions were based off of shapes. Stars,
that's
teardrops.
cool. That's
and by
right,
the way,
that's
the
cool.
HDR was going in overdrive on Joy.
the-
Joy was just like, Jesus Christ. It's like, I need to turn down the brightness or some shit.
The Atmos too. It's real good.
Oh, really?
yeah.
I forget what I'm saying, man. I'm so sorry. I'm just all over the place right now. I need to take my meds.
Nick,
Would you rather be one of the core emotions working in HQ or one of the people that just gets to send whatever memory you want up to them and screw with them the entire time? Because I
like
love that part where
responsibility.
he's like, we like to send this commercial up just every once in a while. Then it cuts to
I
Angus,
love
like, why
that.
is this happening again?
That shit was really, really funny. A part that really
hilarious.
made me laugh quite a bit is during that dream sequence when Bill Hader is sitting down there
so good.
watching the dreams, and
He's like, oh, let me guess. There's no pants. You're not wearing pants, right?
yeah, like, and I love all that prediction stuff. And then Bing Bong pops up on screen. He goes, Bing Bong? Like, and it's just, it's such a funny moment for even the character in the movie who is in charge of fear and stuff like that to be like, oh, fuck, I haven't seen you in a while. That made me laugh so much. Bill Hader was great in this movie.
The Bing Bong stuff is obviously it's like gut wrenching and super emotional, but like I do kind of feel like it's their most fabricated, like emotional grab where they like kind of just create these rules out of like, they're like, oh, there's this giant pit where you fall and you die, and then it's like, oh, okay, except for the little car, for whatever reason it didn't decay, and he did all these balls. And he started to decay, but she hasn't, and it just, that kind of bugs me where it's like, it didn't feel as, like, in retrospect, it feels less earned.
Like the rules aren't super cemented or something.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Where it's in a movie that has very solid rules, suddenly it feels like they go in this pit and the rules are way more convenient for the amount of time that they have. Because for whatever reason, Joy is not disappearing at all.
well, see, my read on that was just more like they disappear more on a level of like how close are they to obscurity and memory anyway.
Like how much does
It's not
Riley
just
need them
falling
versus
down
how
the
obscure
thing
they are, yeah.
is an instant death. That's why some of the memories are still there.
And
like
still
that
lit
is
up
like they're
a
still deep. Yeah, it's like there are some they're fading, but it's like as they eventually, that's the step towards just completely disappearing forever. And Bing Bong was close enough to that he started disappearing. I guess like applying that to his little car, it's like why wasn't that? But
Right.
like I mean I don't think
yeah.
that's that.
I mean, I felt like that was all set up to give us that moment, and that just somehow like that was the purpose of that character, right? To give us that little sad moment at the end where he disappears, and it's like I don't know, it just seemed kind of unlike Pixar to do that.
I mean, to me, it's Toy Story and getting rid of toys that you don't use anymore. Like I think that comparison is pretty, I guess, pretty existent through a lot of their Toy Story movies of the fear of being lost and forgotten. I thought it was great. I thought it worked perfectly. When they tried to get you at the waterworks initially, when she is down there and they are stuck and they feel it's the all is lost moment, and she's crying and she's looking at the memory, right, of the hockey game that she
drops.
Yeah. And I'm sitting here, I'm like, you're not getting me, Pixar. Like I'm not
and I was
feeling
right there with you, Andy.
I'm
Right
not
there
feeling this, man. And then as soon as you get that sort of hype moment where they figure out the little sleigh or whatever the hell it is, or no, it's a red wagon, right?
Yeah, the wagon.
Yeah, it just immediately got me. It just turned like that for me. And for him to look down and see his arms disappearing, and you go, oh no, he's gonna be Bugs Bunny in Space Jam. A Legacy Reborn or whatever it's
Hell
called.
yeah.
A new Legacy?
Yeah.
Legacy Reborn. The Legacy
Bugs
Reborn
Bunny,
identity.
It was great.
Joey
Big
writes
sacrifice
in
for
her feelings on this. Inside Out was one of the movies I was least looking forward to rewatching. The emotion characters were perfectly cast and their dynamics with each other were spot on. I love seeing the inner workings of Riley's, like the whole exchange about sending the commercial jingle up to headquarters randomly. This movie's really great at showcasing how emotions work in an easily digestible way. Ultimately, I think I've narrowed down that the Pixar movies that work best for me are the ones that are less tied to humans for the most part. Don't come after me for loving up. I wasn't particularly attached to Riley or her family, made me less invested in the stakes of the third act. I also hate Bing Bong. LOL. Sorry for the Richard Kind slider. May he rest in peace.
He's not
dead?
dead.
Joey.
He's not
Oh.
dead. No, that was the joke from last time when they
That's
got when fucking Charlotte got me. What was I gonna mention? Joey. Well, I mean,
You're
fucking
right,
Wally
Joey.
had
It's
Wally
not
had a
a
lot of robots. Wally had a lot of robots. So
yeah, not that many
like,
people. They
not
were
a whole
like
lot of
background
humans in there until
characters.
the
A lot of
end,
people,
but
actually.
very, very
Half
in the
the human
background.
race.
Kevin,
They're in
so I
the
don't know.
background. They don't really count, Andy. Like I get what you're saying, Joe. You're wrong about that, but right about this.
Yeah, I don't know
Andy,
what the fuck her deal was.
hit me with the plot.
Tell us the story. Yeah, Nick, tell us the story.
I'm never quite ready for Andy Newman, but here we are.
Andy Newman is my favorite. Inside Out. Who's your friend who likes to play Bing Bong?
Bing bong, bing bong.
Bing Bong. Ladies and gentlemen, before we start this plot, I'm gonna start this off with a question that I often wonder. You ever wonder what's going on inside Kevin's head? Odds are it's just quantum mechanics, space travel, and custom shelf making. Welcome to Inside Out, everyone, where Riley was just born. Joy is the first emotion to come out, and she's like, "This is gonna be the best thing ever." And she stores her first happy memory, which of course only lasts 43 seconds till sadness comes through to muck everything up. Then we get introduced to fear, disgust, and anger. Did you just say we can have dessert? And then, oh, I don't know why I wrote that down. Anyway, voice cast is amazing here. Love the scene with broccoli.
Was that you talking to your wife? Or?
No, there was just, I think Anger said something. Oh, that's what it was. Anger was like dessert, and then they show broccoli, and he's like, "We got an airplane, everybody."
Yeah.
He's like gets pissed off, and then the airplane comes in. He's like, "Wait, we got an airplane, everybody." Each memory is, of course, stored in a glowing ball that's color coordinated to its emotion. And there's core memories that are super important that these power different aspects of Riley's core personalities, like Hockey Island, Goofball Island, Friendship Island, Honesty Island, and Family Island. The islands, of course, are islands of personality, which are what make Riley Riley. Fun montage here of Riley growing up and forming memories like we see come from her perspective, like we see IRL, and then we see from her perspective, the floor is lava. And then there's a great moment where there's brain freeze and everyone in her core emotions actually freeze. Super fun there. Everything's going well until the family moves when Riley turns 11. And guess where they head, everyone? They head to the place that ruins everyone's life. San Francisco,
baby.
where
Love
everything is
to see it.
very expensive and smells like dog pee-pee. Riley is not excited about their new house. I would be, however, though, because I'm gonna tell you anything right now, Kevin. That's what 1,500 square feet, no neighbors, no upstairs neighbors.
That's for sure North Beach, right?
Paradise.
Like that house is in a nice ass area. And let me just get started right now with like,
like North Beach, not Hillish. That's what
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm thinking more Knob Hill.
well, whatever. Like access to good pizza. Like
Oh,
there's
for
definitely
sure.
great pizza spots around those areas, and it's like I've never in my entire life been into a pizza place in the Bay Area, and they've been like, "Hey, we only do one type of pizza."
No.
Well, let me tell you, it's because they're talking about some fucking bullshit in Emeryville, not in San Francisco, baby.
Ugh.
Because
Ugh.
that's where Pixar
East
is.
Bay bullshit.
Yeast of Eden is based on a bakery located near Pixar Studios. It only serves one kind of pizza each day, and broccoli is one of the toppings. After seeing the
Wow.
broccoli pizza in San Francisco, Anger comments on how both the Hawaiians and San Francisco ruin pizza, which is hilarious. Interestingly enough, though, Hawaiian pizza has nothing to do with Hawaii at all. It was, in fact, a Canadian invention.
Oh, God damn it. Of course it was.
It
I
should
do
have
want
been
to.
pizza orgasmica, and I understand why they didn't go with that. But
Yeah.
like, they're a bunch of cowards, is what I'm saying.
I was going to point out that there's never been something more true and honest in film than when Riley and her mom are sitting there and they're like, "There's a pizza spot next door," and her mom's like, "Pizza sounds great," and then like the joy meter just shoots up because there's nothing better than like looking forward to pizza. I've like
That's so true.
I've
Would-
said it
now-
once and I'll say it again. Like when you're just kind of hanging out with friends, and I'm gonna be going back home next week, and I know we're gonna be sitting there and like, hey, let's get some Peter Piper. Or what? Like, fuck yes, dude. Like, it's not even necessarily just the pizza; it's the people and the hangs. Oh, I love pizza. What's up, Nick?
Do you think it's more enjoyable the anticipation of the pizza or the actual act of eating the pizza? Which one do you think is more enjoyable?
No, the act.
I mean, I think it's the whole experience. I can't even.
the whole experience.
I'm with Andy though, just in the sense that like there are so few things that a noun has been created with party attached besides pizza. A pizza party is a thing.
That's so true. You don't say burger party.
No.
Yeah, but here's the
Alliteration
thing.
helps.
Salad party.
Imagine you just ordered
go a long
pizza.
way.
You're super excited. You get a phone call and like,
Slow
hey
party.
man, pizza place burned to the ground.
Yeah.
Wow.
Somebody hit a gas main.
Imagine if you
Rest in peace, yours.
Yours,
Rest in
baby.
peace.
Big ups.
imagine if you were
No, wait, hold on. I wasn't done. And it's like, all right, so we're not gonna get a pizza. Versus the situation where like you're just sitting somewhere and someone like walks in with a pizza and they're like, hey, I know you weren't expecting this, but here's a pizza. Go ahead and eat. Which situation's better?
Oh shit.
Can't pretend on that one.
Surprise pizza is pretty freaking good.
Like, if I could make the process of
what I was
eating
saying.
pizza,
Yeah, it's good.
Kevin, I love the process of eating it. Don't get me wrong, but if I could extend that for like 2 hours to go along with the hangs and the pizza
Order
like
more
stays hot
pizza, Andy.
forever. No, but
Order
you
more
get full.
pizza.
Like I ate 3 slices, and I'm like, fuck, I
Wait,
shouldn't eat this fourth. I'm gonna want to vomit.
Am I confused or were Kevin's two options on which one's better? Either A, your favorite pizza place burns to the ground, or B, someone surprises you with
No,
pizza?
it was Nick. It was.
That's what it seemed like.
I'm sorry, Nick? Did you not say like what's better, the anticipation for pizza or eating the pizza? And
Yeah.
I'm just saying how silly that is.
That's
That's
fair.
what I'm saying. The anticipation can go straight to hell.
I feel like the train of
if
thought
from
for me
now
on that
on-
one was going, and then the island crumbled, and I just crashed. I was like, I don't understand how these two are connected, but it doesn't matter. I'm having a great time.
But before we get back to the plot, though, let me tell you about our sponsors.
This podcast is brought to you by MeUndies. MeUndies believes that your comfort is about more than what's touching your skin. It's about being comfortable in your skin. And when you're truly comfortable, you get a slam dunk kind of feeling, you know? That's right, MeUndies and Space Jam are bringing you new undies. Ladies and gentlemen, you know I only wear MeUndies. A long time ago, I found out how comfortable they were, threw away the rest of my underwear, and only buy MeUndies. I still do to this day. And the Space Jam one is interesting for people like Blessing. MeUndies' new Space Jam print features Bugs Bunny, Daffy Duck, and other iconic characters who are all tuned up and ready for a rematch. MeUndies are made from micromodal fabric, which is not only soft, but breathable, light, and impossibly cozy. Check out their new Space Jam collection in the softest undies, socks, bralettes, dog hoodies, and loungewear, available in sizes XS to 4XL. Here's your chance, do your dance, to score their new collection before the clock runs out. To get 15% off your first order, free shipping, and a 100% satisfaction guarantee, go to MeUndies.com/morning. That's MeUndies.com/morning. Up next is Canva. We've talked about Canva a lot, ladies and gentlemen. If you are making things on the internet and you need video, you need audio, you need Canva Pro. Tim's been using it. Roger's been using it. Nick has been using it. Anybody who's not just screaming into a microphone all day like me at Kind of Funny is using it to make our stuff better. Canva Pro is the easy-to-use design platform that has everything you need to design like a pro. Whether you're a professional designer or just getting started, Canva Pro can help boost you and your team's productivity and creativity. Canva Pro has everything you need in one place, including a collection of over 75 million premium photos, videos, audio, and graphics. Design like a pro with Canva Pro. Right now, you can get a free 45-day extended trial when you use our promo code. Just go to canva.me/kindafunny to get your free 45-day extended trial. That's canva.me/kindafunny. Canva.me/kindafunny. And our final sponsor of the day is Upstart. If you're carrying a credit balance month after month, it can feel like you're in a never-ending cycle of debt. Upstart can help you make that final payment so you can get ahead. Upstart is the fast and easy way to pay off your debt with a personal loan all online. Unlike other lenders, Upstart considers your income and current employment to find you a smarter rate for your loan. With a 5-minute online rate check, you can see your rate upfront for loans between $1,000 to $50,000. You can receive the funds as fast as 1 business day after accepting your loan. Find out how Upstart can lower your monthly payments today when you go to upstart.com/KFMB. That's upstart.com/KFMB. Don't forget to use our URL so that they know we sent you. Loan amounts will be determined based on your credit, income, and certain other information provided in your application. Go to upstart.com/KFMB.
Back to the plot.
Back to the plot, of course. Riley makes the best of the situation. They start playing hockey, but then Dad gets a call from work, which is bummer, and that's going to be an ongoing thing. So Joy steps in and recommends pizza. We talked about that anyway. But as Riley and her mom reminisce about the trip to SF, sadness touches one of the memories and it turns blue. Then she messes with one of Riley's core memories. Sadness is having a breakdown, but Joy tries to help her turn things around and find the fun. Dad is stressed out over the new company. The move has really bummed out Riley. Despite Joy's efforts, the other emotions take over. Mom tells her they need to support her dad and keep smiling, which actually does the trick, and she falls to sleep. Off we go to dreamland, but all she can think about is the monster house, the dead rat, and the broccoli pizza. So Joy steps in one more time and conjures up a core memory of her skating around as a very, very young girl. And the music here is really, really nice.
I love this nightmare scene too. Just like the way the rat is shown, like all of it's fucking great, and the music in the back is the Haunted Mansion music from Disneyland.
That's amazing.
Good for you
And
guys.
plus, and you also we get that cameo from Mordu, or like whatever bear. I don't know, some bear from Brave. It looked like one of the bears from Brave.
Probably more do.
That's I didn't realize that. That's a good point
No,
though.
I
The bear
don't think
joke,
that's right.
high quality stuff.
I don't think that's right. The bear was brown, right? In the dream. And
Well, the bear looked like the
Mordu was
mom.
black.
When the mom turns into the bear looked like that. Like it looked like the same 3D model almost. Now the rat,
It's
kind of
possible,
like a
it's possible.
dirty ass Ratatouille rat.
It really did, though. It looked like he could be Ratatouille's like younger brother.
Yeah.
Sad
Ratatouille.
life.
First day of school, and Joy rallies the troops to get Riley ready. She draws a circle on the ground for Sadness to stand inside of, which is kind of messed up, but hey, I get it. Riley heads to her new school, and worst fears come true. The teacher calls her out to introduce herself, and it's very embarrassing. Joy steps in and conjures up a memory of Riley playing hockey with her folks, but she realizes that everything's changed now. She starts crying, of course. This is our first indication that these joyous memories are entwined with sadness. Very subtly.
Great scene. Great scene. I love this so much. A whole bunch of fun little Easter eggs. One for me, this is James Lick Middle School, which a bunch of my friends went to. So it's like,
I was going to ask you which
cool
one it was.
as fuck.
Where is that? Is that over in the by Castro, or where is that?
Yeah, it's kind of like Castro,
I feel
more like Nob Hill area.
Alfredo used to live somewhere over there at some point, right?
So,
Or
yeah,
no?
close enough. Oh, yes, he did when he lived with Alexis. It's
Yeah.
around there.
Yeah.
But a bunch of facts here in Riley's classroom. The classroom is A113, which is one of those reoccurring Pixar things. There's a map at the back of the room that has pins plotted on places all over the world, and there are references to all the different Pixar movies of where they're set.
Ah.
Are there any
Was one
like
of them in Italy?
ones that haven't happened yet? Yeah, I was gonna say.
Yeah, The Good Dinosaur,
God,
which
terrible movie.
is upcoming.
Never seen it. Don't care to see it. Never watch it.
Next week, Captain.
Oh, that was there. He is. Dynamite
Four-
drop.
3 days away. 4 days away.
Let's see. Sadness, of course, is messing everything up, and a new core memory is created that's blue this time. Joy's like, oh my gosh. She tries to rectify the situation, but all the core memories get lost and then sucked up into the chute, along with Joy and Sadness in tow. They land, of course, outside of HQ, far off in the distance, the long-term memory banks. And Joy sees that all the islands of personality have gone gray. They've gone dead. Joy scoops up the core memories, no personality island. Since Joy is no longer in HQ, no happiness. Don't know how I wrote
What
that
a
sentence. That's
bummer.
just, yeah,
What
it's
a
very
real
boring.
fucking thing, man. I just the way that this movie deals with this young girl growing up, dealing with such a big change in her life. And like, I think that there's such nuance to the emotional characters here where it's like they are also growing. They have also been 11 years old and they are going through changes too. So in the beginning, when we see Sadness like touch it and it's just so infuriating where it's like, leave it the fuck alone. It's just like, she's feeling the need to do that. Like, she is growing as well. And I just think that they show all that stuff very well. And the classroom scene of her telling the story and starting to cry, it's just like, fuck. Like, that is so damn real. And like, she's trying to be happy, but the joy's gone, man.
Yeah.
Wait till Riley figures out that she'll be a fucking slave to the work of the 9 to 5 every Monday to Friday to buy stuff she doesn't even want. Like, it's just, poor Riley, dude. She thinks she's sad now. She doesn't even fucking know, dude.
Doesn't know, man.
She doesn't even
There's
know
about
how-
to be so many more islands. Like
how
right now,
broke-
she only had
oh my
5
gosh.
islands to worry about. They're all happy stuff. And then it's like, oh, there's about to be like 50 islands, and it's gonna be, oh, here's Garbage Night Island. You have to deal with the garbage. Come on.
Oh,
Wait
my
till she gets
gosh.
to pay her taxes
think that-
island.
nah,
That's gonna be horrible.
You think that's its own island? That's not just like a weird, like sad, like climb at like Responsibility
Yeah,
Island.
it's called
No,
Responsibility
she
Island,
lives in
and
San
it's horrible.
Francisco, so the garbage cans are very small. So it's going to be a
So
big deal
small.
for her
Do you
for the
think she's-
rest
No,
of her
but
life.
like,
Do you think they're
Tim,
gonna
your
create an
garbage cans
island?
are so small.
Why do
They're
you
like
can get-
comedically small.
You can get bigger ones. You can always order them.
Ah, yeah, he's afraid of it.
I'll tell you what. That's a
He's
good one to go out. I'm
he's
not gonna say what I was
afraid
gonna
of
say. He's afraid of it. We'll keep going. Let's see. Riley's mom tells her about a new hockey league she found, but since Joy isn't there to answer, the other motionists try to step in and answer, and all goes wrong. We go into mom's head, and this is where I was like, "Wow, this movie is actually
fun.
genius." Because when we go to Bob's head and see her emotions, and they all are. First off, it's kind of weird that mom is driven by sadness. I don't know if anyone caught that. That was
Thank you.
strange.
So there's an interesting thing there where the director was talking about it, and she's actually not driven by it. Like the one actually making the decisions is Joy, like the one that's actually on the board hitting the buttons. But yeah, the ideas are kind of led by that sadness. But like that kind of works with the conclusion of this movie of they are working together.
Yeah,
Fair,
I feel
fair.
like that. My assumption was that when you become an adult, a lot of those, all of the emotions kind of become one because they were almost indistinguishable. They weren't, they weren't, drastically different like they were in Riley's mind, where like everybody had their own distinct thing, and on the other side, were they all in the husband's mind?
They're all anger.
They were all the shape of anger.
Yeah, it's hilarious.
With mustaches,
Yeah.
but they
Yeah,
were different colors. But it's
that's
like, I guess
hilarious.
that's like you lean towards anger, maybe, but you still have everything sort of compartmentalized. I don't know. It's kind of a cool thing to think about.
I think that's great. Of course, they go over to the dad. Dad's just completely oblivious to everything. And then when he eventually does try to step in, he just mucks it up like dads do. Because
Oh, it's perfect.
yeah,
Oh,
it's
man,
so perfect.
That was so good. The transition over to the dad
Putting
and
his foot
like
down.
no, well, in his
hockey
head,
game.
yeah, he's watching a hockey game,
hockey game.
and
He's
they're
like,
like, "All right, guys, all right."
It's only a hockey game in certain territories. In European places, it's soccer or football.
Wow.
Football.
Oh, interesting. I don't know why I thought you meant that like Europeans refer to that sport as soccer, and I was like, what?
Like, no, Tim, they certainly don't.
That is
That
not
was
funny.
true.
But the whole way that situation was handled is one of my favorite moments in the whole movie because like you see the panic, you see the little guys in there trying to be like, what do we do? What do we do? And like look at the mom again. It's like, ugh. And then cut back to the mom, cut back to the thing, and then that escalates to Riley having a fight with her dad and him putting his foot down.
I think before that, just him asking the same question that had just been asked, and then having everybody like, oh no, like
the two teams being like, we nailed
So
it, and
great,
then
yeah.
them being like, oh, this idiot.
I don't know if you guys remember. I think it was Cars
Painful when you think
3.
when that happens.
Cars 3 had the Pixar short before it that was Riley's first date. And then it was like an 8-minute short. It's on Disney Plus if you want to watch it. We watched it last night too.
This popped up at the end of it.
And super worth watching, but it does a lot more of this, of the mom and dad dealing with Riley's first date, which is hilarious. And it also reminds me that I was just cruising on Disney Plus after watching this and watching the Riley's first date thing. And I was like, oh, I wonder what else there is. There is a Cars short of them going to Tokyo, and it is just straight up a Tokyo Drift ripoff. Like to the point that they mimic the Han shot of him driving around the cars with the camera stuff. And I can't believe how they're just like, yeah, you know what? Fuck it. It's Tokyo Drift. They even have a song like they do the I wonder if you know, but like their version of it. And I don't know if I recommend watching it, but it's there for you if you want.
I recommend just looping Tim sing that song over and over again. I think that's going to be a fun afternoon for you. Of course, instead of gently probing, Dad puts his foot down. Massive argument ensues. Mom conjures up why it needs to just disappear. What does she do? Conjures up the image of a very good-looking man offering her his hand, and everyone's like, "Oh, that's nice." Tim, we all been there. Meanwhile, Joey and Sadness try to head back. Is it a memory?
Yeah. It just
there's like a memory of like pre-dad, like she had that year abroad. Is that what it is?
Yeah. And then like at the
How
end,
come
the
the teacher
post-credit
has
scene,
the same memory then?
Well, at the end, the joke is the post-credit scene was in the same situation, or like had
Same
also
guy
met
then?
that guy. Well, I
I
think
feel like maybe the guy's like a movie star or something like that, and she's conjuring up that moment.
I got the vibe
Chris-
that he's just like a
Like
tour
like
guide
Fabio.
or
He was like
something.
Yeah.
Fabio.
Like when you go to a vacation spot, like everybody knows that guy. It's like when you go to Hawaii, and you go on boat tours, there's this dude named Crash, and everyone I know knows a story about Crash.
Everyone has Crash. Everyone knows Crash. Let's see. Meanwhile, Joy and Sadness try to head back to HQ by walking over the memory dump, which if they fall in, they'll be lost forever. because there's no way of getting out. When Dad tries to go up to Riley's room to smooth things over by doing the monkey face, Riley turns away, causing a massive earthquake, plummeting Goofball Island into oblivion forever.
Sad.
With no other option, Joy drags Sadness into the long-term memory. We got a great moment that I glossed over earlier, but in order to keep Sadness busy, she gave her all the manuals for all the memories. So now Sadness actually knows how everything works. And she's like, well, I can get us over to the next island. And she's like, great. But of course, Sadness is doing the thing where she's like, I just want to lay on the ground. So she has to drag her, which is hilarious.
Is it? Is it hilarious?
I think it's fun. I love it.
It's just like, great. Now I got to deal with this annoying character and them walking in this thing for an undisclosed amount of time.
It's, you know what, Kevin, as we've always said, I will be the sadness to your joy, the yin to your yang. Okay. You can be overly happy and you can just drag my ass along and I'll touch everything.
We've always
like
said
that, Kevin. Would you like
we
it?
have always said that. You nailed that, Nick. Great company analogy that we always use.
The next morning, Joy spots some mind workers deleting non-essential memories like the names of every cutie pie doll. The only memory that never fades is the Triple That Gum commercial, which they send up to HQ periodically, sometimes just for absolutely no reason, just to troll HQ.
Funny. So
funny.
The song, this is like such a random Easter egg, but the voice is Nick Patera, who is an old school YouTuber from like 2006 era that went amazingly viral because he sang A Whole New World and he sang both Jasmine and Aladdin's parts.
Really?
Yeah.
And it was like, it's one of those things where it sounds identical to Aladdin and Jasmine. You look at this guy and you would never think he can hit those notes, but it is the most incredible thing I've ever seen.
That's
So,
weird. Why is that him? Why?
He eventually got a job at Disney and Pixar, so he's like been doing a whole bunch of random little things.
Got it. Okay.
He did that song.
Up at the world, of course, Riley is FaceTime with one of her friends back in Minnesota who tells her that, hey, we've got this great new person on the hockey team, and Riley does not know how to deal with that. So she cuts the call off in anger, sending Friendship Island down for the count. Sadness laments their failure until Joy spots Bing Bong, Riley's imaginary friend. And then Sadness has a great moment where she's like, what are you supposed to be? And he goes, it's unclear. I'm mostly cotton candy, part cat, part elephant, and part dolphin. Bing Bong gives Joy, Bing Bong gives Joy his magic bag to carry the core memories and leads them over to the abstract tunnel, where abstract thought like loneliness, which is upstairs. Up we'll see Riley, of course, eating alone, so she's trying to struggle with that. But if they go through that, they can get to the train station where the train of thought leaves. Sadness, of course, wants to go around because there is a sign that says danger, but Bing Bong can't read anyway, and Joy is desperate to get back. So she says, "We'll just follow Bing Bong. I trust him. He's part dolphin. They're very smart." Two techs, of course, immediately come to flush out the abstract tunnel, and everyone turns into abstract shapes. And I love this part. As the first, apparently, I didn't write them all down, but they go through like the 4 phases of abstract shapes, and one of them is just the core shapes with the colors which they end up in, and then they have 2D lines, and they finally get out of it, which is cool. Let's see. They miss the train at the station, so they head to Imagination Land to eat from the French fry forest and hang out in Cloud Town. We get a little goof here where they accidentally evaporate one of the clouds as they walk by.
They murdered that man, right?
Yeah, they killed that. They straight up killed him. To
and
the point
his
where
wife later.
there's a police investigation later.
Yeah,
and which sparked a laugh out loud moment to me because they literally have an homage to the movie Chinatown starring Jack Nicholson.
Yep. Oh man, Nick.
He's like, don't worry about it, Jake. He's like, you can't think about it, Jake. It's Cloud Town.
The amount of times you said
I did not know that was a reference
to me, Nick.
Yeah, I was like, first off, I was like, he said it.
How did you not know?
And I was like, that sounds like a Chinatown reference. And then he calls the guy Jake, and I was like,
yep.
Love it.
Yeah, that's.
Do you know who the voice of the cloud was?
John Ratzenberger.
Ratzenberger watch, baby.
Oh, he was also at the end.
He was the tech at the end.
He was also the little guy at the end, or one of the tech dude.
Wait, they both played the. Who was the other cop?
No,
the same cop in the hats, right?
Ratzenberger was the cloud, is what he was saying.
Well, the cloud cop.
That's what I thought. And then I saw him at the end as the tech, so I deleted
He's
that.
both. He's both.
Okay, that makes sense.
He's the cloud, and he's one of the tech. The other tech is Flea.
Oh my
From
god,
Very
Flea from
random.
fucking Red Hot Chili Peppers?
Mhm.
Yeah.
That's
Why?
hilarious. Because why not?
Because he's
Flea is
Donnie
amazing.
from Wild Thornberries, dog.
Yeah.
He'll let it.
Exactly.
Thank you for that, Kevin. That was really good.
Anytime. Love Donnie.
Back to Bing Bong. Bing Bong finds his old red wagon rocket, which they used to imagine would be a rocket ship that would take them to the moon. And they spot Riley's imaginary boyfriend. They're like, who's that? She's like, that's his imaginary boyfriend. He lives in Canada. And he's like, I would die for Riley. It's hilarious.
It's
Riley,
fucking great. And I love it because it's just such a funny joke. And then it works back in the plot later.
Oh,
They
yeah.
did a good job with
They
this.
bring it back. Up in the real world, Riley is trying out for the new hockey team, but anger takes over, unfortunately. And they try to use one of their old hockey memories as a core memory, but it backfires and everything goes bad. And then down goes Hockey Island. Bing Bong sees all of the reflections of Riley's childhood imagination being torn down and taken to the dump, which includes the red rocket. Right, by the way, excuse me, not red rocket. Red wagon gets
Oh,
dumped over as well. Jesus, that was a brain. Sadness sympathizes with Bing Bong, and they both have a good cry on it. Bing Bong,
Andy
cries.
Cortez from Kind of Funny.
or Candy.
Are the two cops the same subconscious guards?
I think so.
No,
No.
no,
okay.
because weren't the two cops also clouds?
No,
Were they
were-
not?
they
No.
were- I think they were the cops from the
'Cause
hat.
yeah,
bit,
the
where he's like, "That's my
guards
hat." He said,
were-
I wrote my hat in there. He's like, that's my handwriting. It's
One
my
of the
hat.
guards
He's like,
was Frank Oz. But yeah, I guess Ratzenberger was the class because it's only saying he's Fritz, which is the repair
Yeah,
guy.
but I mean, listen to it. Like,
Yeah.
I noticed when watching it, I'm like, it's definitely him. And then, like, I just Googled it, and there's a bunch of pictures of them together, the cloud and the thing and Ratzenberger.
I just think like IMDb. Here's the deal, Andy. IMDb
Figure it
changed their
out.
formatting, and
Because
they've
they can't get everyone.
screwed it all up. It was you were perfect, IMDb. Get your S together. The S stands for shit.
Oh,
It's funny because ass is what I thought you would
I thought
say.
you were gonna say stuff together.
Yeah.
Anyway, Bing Bong cries pocket candy, which I think is hilarious and kind of creepy at the same time.
Yeah.
Sadness sympathizes with Bing Bong, and they both have a good cry. And afterward, he helps show them to the train station. Joy asks Sadness, she's like, how did you do that? And she's like, I don't know. And it turns out if you just allow sadness in and you're allowed to process your emotions, you'll be better off for it. But we don't get to there yet. We still have to go through half the second act. They get on the train, and Joy accidentally knocks over some boxes of facts and opinions. And oh my God, I didn't catch this the first time, but this is the funniest joke in the whole thing. She's like, these facts and opinions look exactly alike. He goes, don't worry about it. It happens all the time. Scoops them all into the facts box. Fucking great. I'm like, wow, that is a very meta,
solid.
awesome joke. Anger gets a good idea. Listen, all the core memories were made in Minnesota. Ergo, we go back to Minnesota to make them Riley should run away. Riley, of course, goes to sleep and the train stops. So they head over to Dream Productions to wake her up. This is where we get another dichotomy here where Joy goes, wow, this place is huge. And then Sadness goes, yeah, it looks so much smaller than I expected. Sadness tells them that they can wake up Riley with a bad dream. But Joy's like, no, we don't want to do that. That's negative. We want to excite her awake. We'll have some fun. And then this whole dream sequence is amazing. I love the creativity here where it's all little kind of amorphous blob like things, the little text that work there. And they put the reality filter on that it becomes like the people. And it's just a little off, where it's like my teeth are falling out. The guy's like sprinkling teeth and it's just another day job for them. All of this is freaking great.
Well,
Yeah, reading the cue cards, be like, oh man, she is not good at this
Not
job.
good at this job. You are phoning that in.
I was gonna say the way they end up using the reality filter to like have the dog get like cut in half is
Terrifying.
So like what a good payoff to that little build.
I love that the person mimicking Riley's lines, or who's the guy off camera reading lines for like I guess responding to the teacher or doing something like that.
He's like he's like a bearded
yeah, he's got his goatee.
Yeah, he's got just a goatee.
I don't know why like the blob like speaking in I think it was Riley's voice or some woman's voice.
No, it was her voice.
But he just had like this goatee. It just looked so funny.
So funny.
And that's another thing with Riley, who is voiced by Caitlin Diaz. She was another situation where that was a temp voice that was only for storyboards and stuff. And they ended up just being like, you're the voice. We got to keep this. So
Diaz, is it? Diaz. Where's that from, Nick?
Do it again. I had to see your face.
Diaz, is it? Diaz?
Cobra Kai.
So close. No, you're not even close. It's Blue Streak, Martin Lawrence. Great movie.
Oh.
I thought you were questioning me because it's DIAS. And I'm like, oh shit, I don't fucking know.
Oh, no.
But yeah. Anyways.
Man, I gotta go back and watch Blue Streak. Apparently,
Hell yeah,
Good
Blue
movie.
Streak in review.
It's only one of them.
Yeah.
It'll be easy, Kevin. It'll be easy. Number
Not enough.
one.
Let's break it up into 3 parts.
Let's see. Oh, Bing Bong gets hauled away by the subconscious, or to the subconscious, where they take all of the troublemakers. And of course, they have this little fun moment with the 2 guards who are talking about. Where it's like, "That's my hat." No, that's my hat. And they sneak in. Actually, they don't even sneak in. They get caught, and they're like, "Get back in there! How'd you guys get out?" And so it worked out well for them. Of course, when they do go in there, they're like, "Oh, this is where all of Riley's deepest fears are kept." And as they look up, they realize they're standing in a forest made of broccoli. How they're going to find Bing Bong? Pretty easy. They're going to follow a trail of candy wrappers over where they find Bing Bong imprisoned in a prison of balloon animals sitting high atop the stomach of Jangles, the giant sleeping bird.
Jangles. What a perfect name for this fucker. And this is one of those examples of what I love about this movie's kind of very different formatting and way of storytelling, where we didn't hear about Jangles before. But it works because we didn't. And it's just like, oh, here's Jangles the fucking clown. And it's like, you don't need to have this backstory of
You
it.
don't
We
need
get
context
it.
for
We
Jangles.
totally get it. We
Birthday clowns are
understand why
terrifying.
this is the fucking fear. They did a really good
Exactly.
job.
I also thought that this was also the final moment where I thought, you know what? Bing Bong is not going to turn. Because of all the other moments, I kept thinking it's gonna be soon, it's gonna be soon. And then this moment, I thought, oh, like he's gonna trap them in there. They're gonna be stuck in there, and he's gonna like figure out a way to get out and like say, "Fuck you all! Like I'm out. I'm leaving this place or whatever. I'm going back with Riley." And I thought this is the moment that like when they're following the trail of candy wrappers, I was like, "Oh no,
He's drawing
don't
his
do
own
it, Bing
tears.
Bong." And he was just crying, just sad.
I'm super happy that they had in the post-credit scene, we see Jangles the clown and how he's just a normal dude, just trying to be a clown and make these kids happy.
What do you say?
Poor
4 years
bastard.
of Juilliard for this?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They free Bing Bong, but the train is still not running. They have to wake Riley up somehow. So they give it the old college try. Like, we got to use what we got at our disposal. And they wake up Jangles and tell him there's a party happening somewhere. He's like, "Party? I love parties." And then immediately he barges into Riley's dream, causing a terrifying and probably irreparable damage to her psyche. But it does the trick. She wakes up and the train starts back up. And off they go to HQ. Anger, of course, tells everyone it's time to take action and plugs in the light bulb to Runaway City. There's no turning back now. Riley looks up the bus station schedule and is like, "Well, I need money." And they're like, "How are you gonna get money?" And I know, we always like Greg Miller's always saying, "Kids, if you want to back us on Patreon, go over to your mom's purse, take out her credit card, and max
Don't
that
do this.
sucker out."
Don't do it.
Joy gives Sadness a props for her idea to scare Riley away. She's like, "You're actually pretty good at this." And Sadness is like, "Yeah, I know. Maybe you should just listen to me." And this movie would have been over 30 seconds ago and Nick could go pee. When Riley jacks her mom's credit card, Honesty Island goes down hard, taking the train tracks and everything else with it. Some of the texts, when they're rescued, some of the texts tell Joy that Riley is with her. She's like, "What's going on?" They're like, "Riley is running away," and everything starts to go haywire. Joy spots a recall tube and is like, "We can use that to get back to HQ." But then she realizes if Sadness gets in that tube too, there's a possibility that all the core memories might go blue. So she just straight ditches her ass, which is just like savage, right?
Complex shit, man.
Tough. And of course it backfires when everything else continues to go haywire and the tube goes down, plummeting Joy to the gorge below, along with Bing Bong. They're down there. But if Sadness gets no, I said that. There you go. Joy and Bing Bong are stuck and they're forgotten. Joy spots a core memory, the one of Riley's first day in class, and it makes her cry. And then she spots that happy forgotten memory of Riley coloring and telling stories and playing in grass. She goes, "I just want Riley to be happy." So she hugs them all to her chest and lets them go. One of her tears, of course, gets on that core memory of Riley, that little one where she was the first time playing hockey. And as Joy wipes it away, though, we get a little rewind effect and realizes that happy memory actually started as a sad memory. And it was only a happy memory because they had to go through the sadness first to get there. She's like, I think I finally got it. Mom and dad of the team, they all came here to help because of sadness. Joy knows what she has to do. And she's like, "We got to figure this out." So what does she say, Tim? What is the call to the wild? Who's your friend who likes to play?
Bing Bong.
Bing Bong. Bing Bong.
Why are you saying it like that? Like, why is it suddenly turned into Christopher Walken being
Bing
threatening?
Bong.
Dude, I swear to God, though, this song
Oh,
sounds
ping pong. That's why.
identical to the Baby Park music in
100%.
Mario Kart Double
Oh,
Dash.
wow.
The doo-doo-doo-doo.
You're so right.
That's intense. Of course, they call that out, and it summons the imaginary rocket. And they get in. They try to launch themselves out to safety, out to the bluffs above, but it doesn't work. They try again. It doesn't work a second time. And Bing Bong tells her they need to try one more time. And goes, I got a good feeling about this one. But as they build speed to take the ramp, Bing Bong bails out of the rocket to lighten the load. And as Joy looks back in awe of him. He says, go save Riley. Take her to the moon for me.
Take her to the moon for me. Okay. Holy shit.
good.
Here I am.
That
I'm
was
already
good.
tearing up.
I
Feel
know.
it. Director Pete Docter said that the Bing Bong voice actor Richard Kind was actually crying while recording that line. And the cast and crew reportedly cried while recording the scene. And it's just like, yo, this movie is a fucking accomplishment. I love how they did this. And it fucking worked so well.
Mom and dad come home that day, but Riley is missing. So they call her cell, but anger takes over and makes her keep going. Joy can't find Sadness, so she puts herself in Sadness. And she's like, what would Sadness do? And she like, plays out the character, like, oh, I'm just going to lay here. I'm going to lay here. And then looks over and spots the bottom row of all the memories that have turned blue. And she goes, I can follow those to Sadness because that's a trail of breadcrumbs to her. Riley, of course, reaches the bus station and starts to get onto a bus. And the emotions realize that this is actually just a really bad idea. So they try to pull a little light bulb out of the console, but it will not go and ends up actually corrupting the console instead.
Dude, I love this. I think that this is really the moment. The Bing Bong scene, obviously, and like just Joy kind of like being sad for the first time, like looking at the memories. It's like this is the turning point where everything starts to come together so well, where I think we hit the masterpiece levels, where when we see the real world of this young girl, and we're finally at a point with Pixar that we've been working towards, inching towards over the last couple of movies, that there are scenes that are just straight up real life looking. And later in the credits, when we see San Francisco, and they just they're essentially just flexing, where they're just like, look at how well we can animate reality at this point. I love how dark the bus station is and how like actually scary it is to have her walk through these alleys and to get on the bus. Like they just did such a good job with the reality while in her mind being dark in completely different ways that all kind of feed into the same thing. And I thought that was very well done.
Agreed. Joy chases after Sadness, and we get that Chinatown reference I was talking about, which is hilarious.
So good.
She prints out, and then she's like, Sadness gets scooped up by one of the clouds and starts floating off. And Joy gets a good idea. She's like, I'll print out a bunch of those Canadian boyfriends who would die for Riley. And then scoops them all up, and they all start going into that little magic sack that Bing Bong had. And then she lets out the sack, and they all stack like a big old ladder with her on top. And then taking the plunge, she leans a little bit, and they like plunge her all the way over to a trampoline that bounces her off so she can catch Sadness on the way towards smashing into the window of HQ. But we have another problem, though. They can't get in until Disgust gets a great idea. She pisses off Anger to the point where it becomes a flamethrower so she can cut through the glass and let the other two emotions back into the HQ. As they watch the screen, Riley boards the bus and it starts to pull off onto the Bay Bridge. Everyone pleads with Joy to help, but Joy knows that there's only one person or one emotion who can, and it's Sadness. Sadness manages to pull the idea from the console very easily, and Riley immediately realizes this is a terrible idea and asks to be let off. She heads home where her parents, when she walks in, her parents find her and they've been worried sick. Joy gives Sadness all the core memories, and we watch as her previously happy moments turn to sadness. Riley finally breaks down and cries. She says, I know you don't want me to but I miss home. I miss Minnesota. You need me to be happy, but I want my old friends and my hockey team. I want to go home. Please don't be mad. And of course, her parents, who have been, obviously dealing with the exact same emotions, let her know that. Finally, they said, you know what? Her dad says, you know what? I miss Minnesota too. I miss the woods where we took hikes. And then her mom says, I miss the backyard where we used to play. And her dad said, Spring Lake, where you learn to skate. And then they all have a good moment and they hug it out. Joy, hands Sadness. The final core memory, the one with Riley where she was little in skating, but Sadness takes her hand and leads her over to the console. And together they watch as a new core memory forms, one of both Sadness and Joy intertwined. Let's see. And then, of course, a new island pops up. An island of personality springs forward. Soon more islands pop up, but instead of one emotion, we see the little core memory bank, and they're comprised of a mixture of complex emotions as, representing that Riley is, of course, moving into adulthood and getting more complex as a human being as well. That's not it, though. We get a couple upgrades in the HQ, courtesy of John Ratzenberger is one of the techs. And they've got all sorts of buttons, including a full access to all the swear buttons and one that says puberty, which they don't quite understand yet. But I'm guessing they will the next year, because we pop back up to Riley. She's about to start her first hockey game. Mom and dad have painted their faces, the team colors, and mom's emotions think that dad is actually a pretty good guy after all. So maybe it's time to ditch that memory of that hot guy. And then a beat later, she's like, we'll just keep this for later, because you know what? Marriage. Am I right? Am I right, Kevin?
No, you're wrong.
High five. High five.
No,
High five him, Kevin.
I disagree.
Careful of crash in Hawaii, Kev.
Exactly, Kev. That guy's gonna just all over your face.
No,
Oh my
Nick.
god. The
Riley
narrative
bumps
there
into
got lost.
I don't know what Crash does or why he's so popular, Tim, but
Apparently a
I
little
guess it's different in my brain than what it is in
right?
real life. Riley, of course, bumps into a boy, and this is the first time she kind of has that kind of awakening as she gets onto the ice. And as she does so, of course, her parents start cheering for her, and they're like, mom and dad are pretty cool, but don't let them know. And we get a little bit of a narration out from Joy, who says, we've been through a lot lately, that's for sure, but we still love our girl. She has great new friends and a great new house. Things couldn't be better. After all, Riley's 12 now. What could possibly happen? And then the credits roll. Of course, she's going to enter puberty and all sorts of stuff's going to get all sorts of, we'll just say complex for everyone. And the credits roll. And then I love this credit roll. We get to see the inside of a bunch of people's brains. My favorite two are the bus driver and the dog. The bus driver is just all anger, and the dog just wants food. And God bless him. The cat was hilarious. The cat was good too. The cat was great as well. And that is the end of Inside Out.
7 syllables in the middle. You need 5 for the first and last line. If you're not poetic, no need to fret it. Haikus don't need to rhyme. Haiku in review. Haiku in review.
You can go to patreon.com/kindafunny to write your review in haiku form, just like Lee Polero did. Feelings have feelings. Not prepared for Bing Bong's death. Now I have feelings. And Miscellaneous, of course, writes in with the plot in haiku. Joy, sadness, and fear, anger and disgust appear. Through childhood, they steer. Joy tries to maintain, though this new life causes strain. Sadness starts to gain. Stuck far from HQ, they run in to Bing Bong 2. Tries to help them through.
It's just so funny hearing Bing Bong in a very serious haiku.
Riley runs away, but then sadness saves the day. Takes that thought away. Teamwork now in place. They bring a smile to her face. Family, embrace. There we go.
Beautiful.
Before we get to Ragu Bagu, I want to give you guys the Pixar theory brought to you by the nanobiologist. There's a recurring theory that every single Pixar movie is connected in some way. Here's the big deep dive red string everywhere theory for where Inside Out fits into the big picture. The biggest thing in this movie that is established is how much our emotions drive us. Like, they literally drive our actions. Plus, it gives tangible shape to the emotions that the monsters collect in Monsters, Inc. What's the main driver of Riley? Joy. What's the most powerful form of energy? Laughter and joy. This movie feels more of a reason as to why laughter was so powerful. Next, let's take a look at Bing Bong. This movie takes place after Ratatouille, based on an Easter egg showing Colette on a prestigious cooking magazine. That's one of the Easter eggs in this. Possibly showing that she's done very well for herself after that movie. The events of Monsters, Inc. takes place during the summer of 1099, based on fear records shown in the movie. So monsters have already moved over to laugh power at this point, if time moves literally in this, like it does in the Tomorrow War. Thank you, Nano, for a Tomorrow War reference.
I
appreciate that.
I haven't seen it yet, Tim.
Oh, I mean, that's not a spoiler. That's just how time works. But so it's believed Bing Bong was actually a monster that Riley loved. So that's kind of fun. Think about that.
I like that. I like that a lot.
Loved so much,
wait,
in fact, that
he
her
might still be
imagination
alive?
eventually kept him around as an imaginary friend.
He might still be alive out there somewhere.
Bing Bong?
The real Bing
Bing Bong,
Bong.
Yeah.
Yes. But yeah, so it's kind of a fun thing.
That made me feel better.
And that's pretty
Thank
much
you,
it.
Nano.
There's also some connection to Carl and Ellie, since their wedding photo appears in a memory ball, but that doesn't have nearly as much weight as the other Easter eggs and information, because there's not much context to that. But hey, I got to give a shout out. This is the first time in a while the Pixar theory, I'm like, that actually connects. That adds up. Some fun Easter eggs.
Especially with how silly Bing Bong looks. Makes sense. You know.
Exactly. So shout out to that. And then now it's time for a little bit of that ragu bagu, which is going to be interesting.
Ragu. Bagu. What's up, everybody? Welcome to Rad Guys Talk Bad Guys here for Pixar in Review. Here's how the list stands right now. At number 1, we got Lotsa from Toy Story 3. Number 2, Prospector and Al from Toy Story 2. Newswater and Randall from Monsters Inc. are 3. 4 is Hopper from Ants. 5 is Ercole Visconti from Luca. 6 is Syndrome from Incredibles. 7 is Months and the Dogs from Up. Ego and Skinner coming out at 8 for Ratatouille. Number 9, Darla and the Barracuda and everyone else from Finding Nemo. Number 10, Woody and Sid from Toy Story 1. Number 11, Gabby, Toy Story 4. Number 12, Hard Squabble. What's that? Hard Scrabble. I can't remember his name. And the Roars from Monsters U. Number 13 is Otto from Wall-E. Number 4 is Mordu and the Witch from Brave. Number 15 is Chick and Hubris from Cars. And 16 is Axelrod and the Lemons from Cars 2. Man, I don't even know. Where do we want to rank sadness?
I honestly don't think it's sadness. I don't think there is a bagu in this, and I think that this is the first time ever I'd vote we put an N/A.
I do think it was Joy. Like, Joy's definitely, like, I know that she's acting from a good place, but her actions are the real reason that anything happens here.
I'd say it's San Francisco, honestly.
We can put San Francisco.
All right, you're hurting people's feelings. Just happy cool Greg's not here to hear this, okay?
He loves San Francisco.
But no, what I'm saying is Joy is the catalyst of why this all happens. Like sadness was supposed to start touching stuff and getting those emotions to become complex emotions, but it was Joy trying to keep everything the way it was. I don't know. I think she should be on the list and really low, very close to the bottom.
I would say as a happy compromise, we'll put Joy and San Francisco at number 17 for Inside Out with an asterisk. As an asterisk.
Okay, I like that.
Okay. I don't know what the asterisk means, Andy, but
I don't know.
But it's fucking there.
I don't know either.
There you are, and that's how it is. Bad guys talk bad. We just talked bad guys, Andy.
We just talked them.
Love it. Now it is time to rank the Pixar movies. Kevin, can you please bring them up? Currently, number 1, we have Up. Number 2, Monsters Inc. Number 3, Finding Nemo. Number 4, The Incredibles. Number 5, Wall-E. Number 6, Toy Story 3. Number 7, Toy Story 2. Number 8, Toy Story 4. Number 9, Toy Story. Number 10, Luca. Number 11, Ratatouille. Number 12, Monsters University. Number 13, Cars. Number 14, A Bug's Life. Number 15, Brave. And number 16, Cars 2. I'm going to start it with Joey's vote. She says, my gut tells me to rank this 14 because I'd much rather rewatch Ratatouille, Monsters U, Cars, A Bug's Life over this, but I've settled on ranking it number 10. So that would be above Luca, below Toy Story 1.
If I may.
Go ahead.
Kevin has the floor.
Personally, that's probably where I'd put it too.
Okay.
Okay, floor is taken back. Tim has the floor.
Andy?
This is one of those that is tough for me. Because I'm always the person that says I'd rather watch the movie with fun characters and really fun dialogue. That maybe isn't so story rich, as opposed to the movie that I found a bit less entertaining, but has a lot of substance there. This one's just so hard because I don't think this movie is as entertaining as Monsters University or as Cars or as A Bug's Life. I don't think it's more entertaining than those movies, but the core of it, the story, the themes, all of it is so strong, and it's so hard to kind of like, what am I gonna put higher on the pedestal here? Am I gonna put the characters and dialogue that I love so much over the actual, like, what the story's trying to say and what Pixar's trying to say right here? This one's really, really tough for me because I could either go above Toy Story 4 or I would go below A Bug's Life. And I don't know right now. It's so fucking tough for me. It's really, really tough.
Below A Bug's Life.
That's savage.
Yeah, just because again, just like Joey said, I'd rather
Yeah.
rewatch A Bug's Life.
Honestly, now that you
it's
say
not as
it,
strong of a story at all, but the characters and the dialogue and the funny moments are what bring me back
Sure.
to A Bug's Life. So man, this is fucking tough.
I feel like now that you've said it,
I'm gonna-
like, I wouldn't be opposed to that either.
I'm gonna put this above Toy Story 4 at number 8.
Nick.
I would put this. So yeah, I mean, I hear everything Andy's saying, and I think as far as an enjoyment, like an enjoyable, rewatchable movie, this misses the mark. Having said that, as a good movie, I think this is deserves to be way higher up on the list. And this is a beautifully made film, and I think it's I think it just what they were going for was less of a movie that was supposed to be rewatched and more impactful, and I think they nailed that 100%. I would almost put this above Wall-E, I think, just for the sheer kind of sort of not, I don't want to say creative, but just for how good the movie kind of is, and for the deep way they're dealing with emotions and how they get that across. I think that's a pretty huge accomplishment. But I think that Toy Story, I don't know, the Toy Stories do that a little bit as well. So they're not really dealing with emotions. I don't know. Shit, Tim. This is a tough one.
It is. It is.
Maybe just to keep it all kind
Be
of
brave and break apart the Toy Stories. Be brave
Are
like
we
me.
finally breaking apart? No, I mean, if we're gonna rank, I would rank it above Toy Stories. I would rank it at number 5. That might be where I put it.
Above Wall-E. Fucking
I mean, as always
And
with
that
this
has
list,
sorry, Tim. I was just gonna say that has the added advantage of pissing off Andy. So that's fine.
God damn it.
as always with this Pixar list, I mean, we're just talking about legitimately some of the best movies of all time. So it's like it gets complicated ranking it and comparing them. And Pixar's list, I think, has been more torn apart because of all of our differing opinions than any list we've ever had. So the list doesn't represent any of our personal thoughts. So it gets hard because I don't think I would put this above any of the Toy Stories, or at least most of the Toy Stories. I would put it above 4, but and probably 2. I'm looking at this though, and honestly, I can make an argument for number 1, number 2, number 3. And it's going to be one of those that I'd be voting for. Obviously, I'm being outvoted on that. I just think that this movie is such an accomplishment for being more than just a Pixar movie. And that's not talking shit about Pixar movies. Just a Pixar movie is one of the greatest compliments you can give something. But I love that they really tried to do something different and not just go back to a formula. And I love that the accomplishment that I see in this movie is how much of an oxymoron it all is, and how much the sadness and joy being the crux of it all is the heart of this film. And I love how it takes complex things and makes them simple. It takes simple things and makes them complex. And it does all that stuff, I think, flawlessly. And there's so many memorable moments. It makes me feel so many emotions, whether it's laughter, whether it's, crying, whether it's all this stuff they really kind of did, they were doing. So with that, I'd go number 2. I'd go number 2 with my vote there.
Wow, we're scared because we care. All right.
So let's do the official voting, because I got a little lost with where everyone's at.
I think we need to start below A Bug's Life right now and see, and that's where I think that was the lowest possible vote, right?
Who thinks it's better than A Bug's Life? Raise your hand. Everybody. Who thinks it's better than Cars? Everybody. Who thinks it's better than Monsters University? Everybody. Better than Ratatouille? Everybody.
Where did Joey have it?
Number 10.
Okay.
Better than Luca? Everybody. Except for Joey. Better than Toy Story 1? Kevin drops out. Better than Toy Story 4?
Oh, Andy's going to get what he wants. He's going to break up the big Toy Story block.
Better than Toy Story 2? Better than Toy Story 3?
Oh.
So it's the new number 6. So we didn't break up the Toy Story block.
Wait.
Oh, no. He doesn't think it's better than Toy Story 3. It's number 7.
Oh,
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay.
broke up the block.
Cool. Then
I didn't think I'd ever live to see this. And honestly, guys, I'm
Wow,
shocked
that's
how many
crazy.
it's like a moment.
This is unbelievable.
That block's been the core staple block of this list for 17 years. I don't know
Yeah.
what to do.
17 whole fucking years. We're going to return later this next week with The Good Dinosaur, and then Finding Dory to continue this Pixar in review situation. Very exciting stuff. Thank you all for joining us. Joey will return with us next time. Let us know in the comments below how crazy you think all of us are, because I'm sure there's someone out there that thinks it about each and every one of us. So that's fun. But until then, love you all. Goodbye.